The Buffalo Bills wide receiver situation, already one of the most concerning elements of their 2025 season, somehow managed to deteriorate even further last week. What began as a frustrating but manageable deficiency in offensive production has now evolved into a full-blown crisis, one that threatens to derail the Bills' hopes of making a meaningful postseason push and one that raises serious questions about both player development and roster construction within the organization. The latest setback came with the unexpected benching of second-year wide receiver Keon Coleman in Week 11. Coleman, a player the Bills drafted with high expectations and whom many believed could develop into a long-term weapon for Josh Allen, was declared a healthy scratch after arriving late to a team meeting. For most players, such a disciplinary measure might be a rare occurrence, a moment of immaturity quickly rectified. But in Coleman's case, this incident marked the third time in his young career, and the second time this season, that the coaching staff felt compelled to discipline him for avoidable behavior. This pattern has not only raised concerns about his reliability but has also cast doubt on whether he can be trusted as a foundational piece in Buffalo's offense. From the moment Coleman entered the league, he was viewed as a physically gifted athlete with the potential to become a dominant downfield target. His size, catch radius, and contested catch ability made him an enticing option for a Bills offense searching for a successor to Stefon Diggs. But potential means very little in the NFL without consistency, professionalism, and steady on-field production, and unfortunately for Buffalo, Coleman has struggled to make meaningful strides in any of those areas. His lack of discipline has repeatedly removed him from the lineup at moments when the Bills desperately needed help at the position. As frustrating as Coleman's situation is, he is far from the only issue plaguing the Bills' receiver room. Joshua Palmer, another player Buffalo hoped could carve out a significant role this season, has continued to offer minimal impact. Despite being given numerous opportunities to emerge as a reliable contributor, Palmer has produced little in the way of explosive plays, dependable route execution, or consistent separation. Week after week, the Bills find themselves wondering whether the version of Palmer they expected to see will ever materialize. To make matters even worse, the team's attempt to bolster the unit through midseason acquisition fizzled almost immediately. Mecole Hardman, the speedy veteran brought in to add depth and a burst of playmaking ability, suffered an injury after appearing in just a single game. Hardman was supposed to complement the Bills' offense with his quickness, versatility, and experience in big-game environments. Instead, his time on the field lasted only long enough to underscore the fragility of Buffalo's situation. With Coleman struggling, Palmer underperforming, and Hardman sidelined, the Bills now find themselves in a position where every possible option must be explored. Whether through internal adjustments, strategic free agent signings, or waiver wire gambles, Buffalo needs help, and fast. Fortunately for them, a new opportunity has just emerged, though not without complications. According to a report from Nick Underhill of New Orleans Football, veteran wide receiver Brandon Cooks and the New Orleans Saints have mutually agreed to part ways, resulting in Cooks being placed on waivers. The move sent shockwaves across the league, not because Cooks is still considered an elite receiver, his prime years are behind him, but because his track record, leadership qualities, and experience could make him an intriguing fit for a team like Buffalo that is desperate for stability. Brandon Cooks, a six-time 1,000-yard receiver, has been one of the most consistently productive and reliable wideouts of the past decade. Throughout his career, he has delivered major contributions for teams such as the Saints, Patriots, Rams, and Texans. He has often been praised for his professionalism, route running, and ability to produce in a variety of offensive systems. However, despite his storied resume, the 31-year-old pass catcher is clearly no longer the explosive playmaker he once was. In 10 games this season with New Orleans, Cooks has recorded a mere 19 receptions for 165 yards, numbers far below his typical output. But while such statistics paint a bleak picture at first glance, they don't tell the entire story. The Saints have endured one of the NFL's most unstable and inconsistent quarterback situations this year, a revolving door that has left Cooks with few clean opportunities to produce. The offense has sputtered, struggled to sustain drives, and failed to create rhythm. In that environment, even proven veterans have found it difficult to showcase their skills. It is also fair to acknowledge that Cooks has experienced a gradual decline in performance over the past few seasons. Age, injuries, and the natural wear of an NFL career have contributed to his reduced explosiveness. There is, therefore, no guarantee whatsoever that he would step into Buffalo's offense and immediately solve their problems. He may not be able to replicate the numbers or impact he once had, and the Bills would have to temper expectations accordingly. But as the old saying goes, beggars can't be choosers. Given the current state of the Bills' receiving core, they cannot afford to dismiss any reasonable opportunity to improve, even if the improvement is modest. Cooks brings something that the team currently lacks: veteran experience, a professional approach, savvy route running, and the ability to understand complex offensive concepts quickly. He is the type of player who could help stabilize a struggling position group even if he is no longer capable of producing elite numbers. However, one major obstacle stands in Buffalo's way: the waiver system. Because Cooks was released after the trade deadline, he must pass through waivers before becoming a free agent. That means any team willing to claim his contract may do so, but the order is determined by the reverse standings. At this stage of the season, the Bills hold the number 26 position in the waiver order. In practical terms, that means 25 other teams will have the opportunity to claim Cooks before Buffalo can even get a chance. Several franchises picking ahead of Buffalo could have legitimate interest in Cooks, including the Pittsburgh Steelers, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Houston Texans. Each of these teams either needs additional help at the receiver position, is contending for a playoff spot, or sees Cooks as a potential low-risk enhancement to their current roster. If even one of them submits a waiver claim, the Bills' hopes of landing the veteran will evaporate instantly. Despite the long odds, it would still be wise for General Manager Brandon Beane to place a claim and hope for the best. The Bills have nothing to lose and potentially something meaningful to gain. Sometimes, acquiring a veteran presence, someone who has played in big moments, produced in high-pressure situations, and worked within multiple offensive systems, can provide a stabilizing effect that transcends raw statistics. Even if Cooks were to serve primarily as a rotational player or situational weapon, his presence alone could help elevate the professionalism and competitiveness in the receiver room. Buffalo's offense, powered by the elite talent of Josh Allen, has always functioned best when supported by dependable weapons capable of making timely plays. Right now, the roster lacks those kinds of players. Whether Cooks would become a difference maker or merely a complementary piece is unclear. What is clear, however, is that the Bills cannot afford to sit idly by while their passing attack flounders. Their season may ultimately depend on whether they can inject new life into the receiver position before it is too late. For now, all eyes turn to the waiver wire. Will Brandon Cooks slip through 25 teams and land in Buffalo? The odds are slim. But with the Bills' postseason aspirations hanging in the balance, Brandon Beane must take the chance and hope the football gods are on their side. Comment if you think it would be good for the Bills to have Brandon Cooks as a new addition. Thanks for watching and see you next time.